Right now, Mr. Iwanu.
What's up, you guys? Okay, let me start. Yeah, you remember that boat that crashed in that bridge over in Baltimore a couple months back?
Yeah.
Yeah, it crashed in the Francis Scott Key Bridge. That's a bit ironic, right? It's like, oh, say, can you see? There's a giant fucking boat coming! Yeah, it said the boat came from Singapore. I was like, ah, crap. Asian driver, you know. Yeah, the news, they said the boat weighed 200 million pounds. That's pretty damn heavy, right? It was actually heavier before, though. It was actually 300 million pounds. But my ex-wife, she got off the boat right before it hit the bridge. And you know, I noticed a lot of anti-gay cultures are actually quite gay. Like Arab culture, for instance, right? You know, they're notorious for being harsh on their LGBTQ, yet Arab men openly hold hands on the street. You know, how hypocritical is that, right? They're like, don't act gay! La 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 la. And Russians too, right? They're like world famous for being violent towards their LGBTQ. But I was watching the Olympics once, and this Russian gymnast, after he finished his jump thing, instead of high-fiving his teammate, he kissed him on the mouth. It wasn't just a peck either, they were like really going at it. And I was like, we don't tolerate the homosexuality in Russia. Come, Vladimir. That's very strange. It seems like men in other cultures enjoy a level of intimacy with each other that we just kind of lack out here. You know, and I have seen a little bit, right? Because I was in the army, you know. You know, the army is very anti-gay. Because it's so gay. Yeah, you're like constantly surrounded by other men and you're like mostly naked or sometimes just totally naked. You know, like the shower is a perfect example, right? There used to be this one guy, he'd be in the shower every time with a rock hard boner. Yeah, at the time, you know, the policy in the army for gay people was don't ask, don't tell. Nobody had to ask this guy if he was gay or not. He's all knocking over shampoo bottles and shit. You know, shocking. You walk in the shower room, you're like, what the fuck? At ease, soldier. Hey, you know, you're supposed to be hardcore in the army, but not that hard, not that core. I'll tell you an army story. You know, when I first processed to the army, like my recruiter, right, he picks me up. He takes me to the Bonaventure Hotel right there in downtown LA. And he's like, you see that line of people? Go sign in and they'll tell you what to do. So I do that. And then they give me a room key. They're like, you better go to sleep early because we're going to wake you up at 3 in the morning. I'm like, 3 in the morning? I mean, I'm 18 years old. Like, shit, I never woken up that early, but whatever. So I go to sleep, and sure thing, right? 3 o'clock, the fucking phone rings. I'm like, hello? They're like, get up, get downstairs, get on this bus. So I do that. They take us to this base in Long Beach somewhere. So the very first thing they break us up into our branches, like Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Now the very first thing we all notice is that all the pretty girls are in the Air Force, right? So I'm in the Army, you know, and I'm like, fuck! But anyway, so the first thing they do is they give us this test. It's like the SAT on steroids and shit. It's crazy. Anyway, those of us that pass, they break us up into these little groups. And for me, they tell me to go to this room. So I'm like, all right, I open the door. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I look in there and there's a bunch of dudes in their underwear and shit. They're like doing jumping jacks and shit. I'm like, you know, you want me to go in here? They're like, yeah, hurry up. You know, in there, they're like, get in here, hurry up, close the door and shit. I'm like, all right, I guess, you know. They're like, take off your clothes, get in line with everyone else, right? I'm like, okay. You know, it's really uncomfortable, right? I've never done anything like this. Anyway, so what's going on is there's a sergeant in the front, and you know, everyone's like lined up doing jumping jacks and shit. And the sergeant in the front is like, jumping jacks. Okay, now everyone do sit-ups or push-ups or some shit, like windmills. So, and then these two other sergeants, they're walking up and down the rows, and they're like looking at everyone like hawks and shit. Anyway, one of those two sergeants, he yells at the guy next to me. He's like, you, do that windmill again. And the guy tries, but he can't get his arm all the way up, you know? And so he's like, get out, you're out, right? And that was it. That was how fast it took for someone to get out of the military. Anyway, that was just the beginning, right? They had vision tests, hearing tests, height, weight, all these tests. And people were just getting kicked out left and right. Every single test, like, you're out, you're out, you're out, right? At one point, there was this Mexican dude. He was a big old buff dude. And he's all tatted down and shit. And he's telling everyone how he's going to be a Marine and, like, how his dad was a Marine and, like, has all of his uncles, you know? And he's going to be, like, the best Marine in the world. And then some guy walks up and he's like, you're out. You know, and he's like, what? He's like, why? It's like, because your neck is too thick. You know, it measured too thick. And that was it. He couldn't be a Marine. Yeah, he almost started crying right then and there in front of everybody. And so after a while, like, I'm passing all these tests, and finally the last test, like 5 o'clock at night, And I passed it, and the sergeant's like, "Congratulations, son, you made it in the United States Army," you know? And I was like, "Thank you, Sergeant," you know, and I was like so proud and stuff. But then the whole time I was in the Army, I couldn't wait to get out of that motherfucker. I'll tell you another story. Alright, you know, my parents, they had a carpet cleaning company in LA, and so after I got out of the Army, I worked for them. Anyway, we had a lot of business in West Hollywood because a lot of other carpet cleaning companies, they don't want to go out there, right? But we're, whatever, money's money, shit, we'll do anything. So I'm in West Hollywood, and I'm at this guy's house. And the way we clean a carpet is we'll go to the end of the house first, and then we'll work backwards, so that way we're not stepping on areas that we already cleaned. So I follow this guy down this long hallway, like loaded with these small framed pictures. And I go into this little room, and the only thing in the room is a bed. But on the wall, there's like this giant life-size poster of a naked man, right? He's all sitting like this, like, right? And on the other wall is like another life-size poster with two naked men, and one of them's holding the other's dick, you know? They're like, they got that look on their face. So I'm just cleaning, I'm like, all right, whatever, nothing to see here, you know, don't ask, don't tell. And I hit something under the bed, you know, and it starts making noise. I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh shit. And I saw what I could only describe as a beeping, blinking transformer dildo snake, you know? And it was all spinning around like, blue, blue, blue. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know how to turn off, and shit was all greasy, you know? I was like, ah, fuck. But I turned off, I threw it under the bed and shit. I was like trying to get out of there at this point, right? I'm like, fuck. So I'm in the hallway, and I look at the pictures, those little framed pictures, and those were of other carpet cleaners with their dicks hanging out. And I was like, oh no! And then I hear this, So I turn around, and it's the guy, you know? And he's got a camera in one hand and a $100 bill in the other. And like, I'm not gay or nothing, but money's money, so Alright, I got a lot of time. I'll tell you another story. The day I met The Rock, right? I was at the DMV, like right over here. And I was with my buddy getting my license renewed. And we're waiting in line, and he's like, hey, you see that guy over there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I think it's The Rock, right? It's like some guy in the middle talking to one of the supervisors. And I look at the guy, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so, because he looked kind of slim. But then he smiles, you know? And I'm like, you know what, maybe. And I look around the room, and like everyone's looking at him and like pointing at him and stuff. And then you could feel like excitement like building like in the room, like literally every second it's like building, building, building. And at one point this girl screams, it's The Rock, you know? And everyone's like, oh shit. Anyway, when I go to get my picture taken, he cuts the line, right? He cuts right in front of me. And so he's like standing there just looking at me and stuff. Like I could have asked for an autograph or, you know, picture, anything. But I was just so starstruck, you know, I couldn't do it. All I could do was just stare at him and go. You know, the only thought in my head was, that's The Rock. That's The Rock. That's The Rock. And like, I couldn't do anything. And then he was just looking at me like, whatever. And he turned and got his picture taken. And then after all these people were coming to, getting autographs and pictures and stuff, and I was watching him, I was like, man, he's so cool, you know? You could just tell that he was just so happy that people were being nice to him and shit. And I was like, you know, if I ever see The Rock ever again, I'm gonna go right up to him and go, cause The Rock can't have it. Is this on? I'll tell you another story, whatever. I got a million stories here. I'll tell you when I did M60 training in the Army, right? The M60 is a light machine gun. It's the Rambo gun, right? So we're all sitting there, whatever. We're watching our 4 drill sergeants shoot the Rambo gun the proper way, right? They're all laying there doing short control bursts and shit. Anyway, one of them was like, fuck this, you know? And then he gets up and he starts holding the gun like Rambo, right? With one arm like this. And the other arm, he's holding the bullets and shit. And he just starts shooting. He's like, da, 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 da. He's like, ah, right? And so all of us were watching. We're like, what the fuck? And we're like, yeah, fuck yeah, it's fucking awesome and shit, right? So anyway, the 3 other drill sergeants, they hear us cheering, and they were like looking around like, what the fuck's going on? And they see the guy standing up, so they're like, oh, fuck this. And so they all stand up, pick up their machine guns, and they all start shooting and shit. So you got 4 grown men standing there with machine guns, just sawing right, going, yeah, right? And behind them is 200 younger guys, and we're all screaming, fuck yeah, fuck, it's fucking awesome, yeah. Oh man, it was the most testosterone-filled event I've ever been a part of in my life, you know. And at the end of the day, we all had sore throats and full-grown beards and shit. Alright, tell us some jokes. You know, a lot of important inventions were invented in China, right? Like paper, porcelain, gunpowder. One thing that they did not invent in China, driving. Yeah, you know, doctors are so full of shit, but back in the 50s, right, they had doctors selling cigarettes and shit. You can see these commercials like, oh, I'm a doctor, so I smoke Camels. Yeah, that's so bullshit. You know, because they're doctors, they know better. And the newest medical fucking scam going around is that whole prostate rectal exam thing. Yeah, I've heard 100 different prostate rectal exam stories. You know, they all end the same way. They didn't find anything. If it's so important, why don't you show me what to look for, and I'll stick my own finger up my own ass. How about that? But oh no, you can't have that, can you? What, you need a medical degree just find a bubble up your butt? Damn, my asshole's not the only full of shit around here. Alright, my name's Iwan.
Iwanu, everybody! Woo! Hell yeah.
My dog.
The dog. Two more comments, okay? Thanks so much for sticking around. Really appreciate you. Aaron Colbert is going to be closing us